you made any New Year's resolutions this year? I'm guessing you might have, and are you following them at the moment? If you are, you're doing great, but I'm guessing you're most probably not following your New Year's resolutions right now. You might have done it for a day or two, perhaps a week, and then you lost track of what your resolutions are in the first place. Well, in this video, we're going to get to why it's so hard to stick to such new habits and our resolutions, and how we can use self-identity to achieve our goals. So to start off with, what is self-identity? It's basically how we believe about ourselves, how we think of ourselves, and how we see ourselves. It's a story we tell ourselves about ourselves, and thus we sort of act in line to that story, which in return gives more evidence for our story. Now that would have sounded a little bit complicated. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you believe that you are a very kind, tolerant, and soft-spoken person. So let's say that you had some disagreement with somebody and you are sort of kind of getting angry. Well, then you wouldn't get angry that easily. And even if you did, you wouldn't really get mad about it and shout at the other person, because you now believe that you are a very kind, tolerant, and soft-spoken person. And another example would be if you believe yourself to be a very health-conscious person, then you wouldn't be eating junk food and short eats on a regular basis. So basically, there is a way that you think about yourself, and you act according to the way that you do think about yourself, right? So why does this whole idea of self-identity matter? Well, it matters because once we tell ourselves something about ourselves, when we believe a certain story about ourselves, we basically act accordingly, right? And which means, let's say we have a new habit that we want to include in our life, a good habit, or there's some bad habit about ourselves that we want to get rid of. So we want to, let's say, stop playing video games, or we want to eat less unhealthy food, we want to change our food habits, or we want to exercise more, or we want to get better grades, or whatever you want to achieve. Even though we have our goals set and we know what to do, it's difficult for us to keep going with the necessary steps of action on a regular basis, because it feels so uncomfortable and it's not sort of in alignment with who we believe ourselves to be. So basically, you could think of this as a get it done video part 2, but that's really not the case. Well, it is kind of. But what I mean here is, if you tell yourself the story that you're not a very sporty person, you don't like exercising, and so when somebody even brings up the word exercise, oh no, I don't do that, I'm not an exercise person, I can't run, I can't, I just can't do the gym, I can't, that's not me, that's sort of the story you tell yourself, right? Okay, so bringing in the same story to good grades, let's say that you want to get good marks, but so far you've not been doing well at school. And when you see people who do get good marks, you think to yourself, oh, that person's bright, right? I'm not a book person, I'm not a study person, I don't really get as good grades usually, I can't usually remember what I studied that easily, I need to put so much of effort to study. So by saying that to yourself, you're basically telling yourself that you're not capable of becoming that person which is the goal that you want to achieve, right? So what happens is, this sort of prevents you from taking the necessary action to achieve your goals, and thus providing more evidence for your own story. So you believe that you are not a studious person, right? And because you believe so, you don't put in the needed work on a consistent basis, because you don't believe so about yourself. And when you don't put in the work, then you don't get the results, obviously. And when you don't get the necessary results, you get results in the direction of what actions you did or didn't put, right? And then when you see the results, it sort of provides more evidence to the story that you're telling about yourself. So, and then you're like, at the end of the term, you're like, see, I told you I'm not really a big study person, or whatever. So the whole point here is to change the self-identity. Probably you might have already guessed, if the problem is your self-identity is keeping you away from your success, if that's sort of a blockade there. Then to achieve your goals, you're going to probably have to change the story you're telling about yourself. So to see how we can change the way we talk about ourselves, let's do a small activity. So you can take a piece of paper here. So sort of divide the page into two, and on the other side write the story that your successful version would tell yourself, right? And gradually start to, you can't get yourself to believe in it at once, but you have to gradually shift your identity. So it's sort of like, when you make a software upgrade on your phone, and it's like, if the old version is the 1.0 version of yourself, then the new version should be the 2.0 version of yourself. So basically you are doing a little upgrade, and you are upgrading your story, you're upgrading what you believe in yourself. And so that then when you change your story or your narrative or what you tell yourself about yourself, then you would start acting and doing things in alignment with the story that you do tell yourself. So you tell yourself that you are a person who likes to exercise, and then you start like doing 5-10 minutes of exercise a day, not because you want to lose weight or you want to look a certain way, or you're not thinking of the goal in mind. You're just doing that consistently on a daily basis just because that's who you are. Same with studies. You keep telling yourself that, hey, I'm a bright person, you're a good student, so you study an extra hour. Now on a daily basis you go for the healthy options of food, not because again you want to lose weight or you want to look a certain way, but simply because that's who you eat healthy, nutritious food. So you get the idea. When you change the story about yourself and you tell yourself a different thing, a different narrative, and you sort of shift your identity to something that is in alignment with the habits that you want to change, and stick to those habits now, because that is now tied with your new self-identity, then it would help you to sort of change your old habits and sort of actually stick with your new habits on a longer term, and it would hopefully help you to achieve your goals. So that's about it for today. I hope this was a short video. I was hoping to make it short, and I hope you did find this video useful, and if you did, please do like and subscribe, and bye bye.